Shavuot to everyone. I want to thank our sponsors for the month of Nisan Chai Yom Full as a schut for the Son Yamin and all our soldiers defending us with God's help. And Le'il Nishmat, their beloved son Hillel, Avashom, Ben Yaakov Sheyichya. Thank also Linda Mark Rumem sponsoring Le'il Nishmat Mark's father, Reuven Ben Chaim, whose 30th yard site is on Chaf of Nisan. It was a very interesting day yesterday. We were delayed a few minutes davening shachrit because of a siren and some explosions overhead, and they were dodging rain. So I got to say a few words at our minyan, and I noted that I actually had kavana during Birchat Kohanim, Yivarechecha Hashem v'yishmerecha, God should bless you and preserve you. We need shmira min atilim, shmira min agshamim. We need protection from the missiles and protection from rain as well. And thank God that both worked out. Apropos of that, the Haftarah yesterday was especially meaningful in the context because it's a reminder of who we are and what's expected of us and where we go wrong and what we do right. Amzu yotzarti li tehilati yisaperu. Yeshayahu Hanavi said, God, in God's words, that this nation I formed, I created for myself, tehilati yisaperu. They will relate my praise. The whole purpose of the existence of the Jewish people, in essence, boils down to a nation that will relate God's praise, that will bring God's deeds and moral notions to the rest of the world. And when we fail that, we suffer. And so the Navi says right away, V'lo oti karata Yaakov. The Navi recognizes that you didn't call on me, Yaakov. You didn't look to me. In fact, the point is you looked away from me so often. Ki yodgata bi Yisrael. You tired of me. Rashi says, Nil'eta maher ba'avodati. You became weary, fatigued from my service, and therefore you looked away. You went your own way. You carved your own destiny with all the attendant consequences, negative consequences at that. Well, what happens when Lo otika rata Yaakov ki yagata bi Yisrael? What happens when we turn away from God and seek our fortunes elsewhere and we become weary of his service? Then God sends us reminders, reminders like Bavel and Paras and Madai and Rome and the Byzantines and the Muslims and the Crusaders and the Spaniards and Khmelnytsky and the communists and the Nazis. We're having an alert. The Nazis and we got constant reminders. And now we're Arabs, and now we're back to Paras, we're back to Persia. It's like everything returns. We're reading through an updated version of the Tanakh in the current war. God sends us these reminders, and when we do not take them to heart, then we stumble. And when we do, there's a national renaissance that's actually breathtaking to see, inspiring to live through. And that's the era that we're in now. The Mechilta says very powerfully on Amzu Yatzartili, Mechilta in Mechilta of Yishmael in Parsha Beshalach, Amzu Ga'alta Lefisha Kol Olam Shalcha, because the entire world is yours, God. Ve'ein locha am el Yisrael. You have no people dedicated to you, dedicated to the idea that God exists and He has a certain plan for mankind, and He wants us to impart His ideas and to share that plan and those values with the rest of mankind. And the only nation that does that is the Jewish people. And that's why Zu Ga'alta, the Chidah says Zu is 13, like Echad, Goy Echad Ba'aretz. We're a unique nation for God on earth. We have only Him, and to a large extent, He has only us. A large extent is actually an understatement, because the Medrash says, Ein locha am el Yisrael. There's no other nation that God has but the Jewish people. Am zu yotzarti li. This is why I created them specially. Every other nation just forms in a natural way, political alliances, merger of kingdoms and dynasties, revolutions and upheavals. But the Jewish people are the specific handwork of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And I've never doubted that at the core of all the hostility that exists in Israel today is that very idea of Amzu Yatzarti Li, that we are God's people. That's why even nations that we presume falsely, but we presume have certain moral notions, like Europe, whether it's Germany or Britain, even in Canada, France, all these nations that are part of the Western alliance, they're antagonistic to Israel and the United States, but they're sympathetic to the suffering of the Gulf kingdoms or the Lebanese. They're not sympathetic at all to our suffering, to the threats against us. And at the core of that rejection is this idea of Amzu Yatzarti Li, Tilati Yasaperu. Well, the time will come when they too will understand that we mean no harm to anyone in the world. All we want is our one little nation, our little country, on which we are supposed to and intend to build a model state that's a beacon of light to the rest of mankind. That's our goal. We have no claims against any other part of Arabia or the Middle East or Asia, Africa, Europe. No, none at all. When they realize that and they realize the purpose of our existence better, when we realize the purpose of our existence, then we'll be close to the day, as the Navi said, Ki Go'al Hashem et Yaakov. God has redeemed Yaakov and the people of Israel. Shavuot Tov.